What time do I have? I know I have 1 hour, so I don't know if I start now, will that count? Or nipambane na hali yangu?
You have 1 hour.
Yeah. Okay. But I speak very fast, so I might take less than that, but I'm not promising, so that you don't say, you say it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for coming, parents. Every time I come in front of people, I'm so nervous. I've done this over and over and over, so I have to breathe in and out, and then start. Okay. Thank you for coming. I honor parents who make an effort to come, especially on Saturdays. I really like that, because it shows that you are committed to your child's endeavors, isn't it? Yeah? You'd have gone to chamas, you'd have gone to visit a sick relative, going to a funeral, so many things. You all have agendas for the day, isn't it? But you chose and made it intentional to come to this meeting for the sake of that child. I always challenge parents, and I tell them, imagine, I know most of us here have invested, isn't it? Maybe you bought a good car, maybe you have a good plot, maybe you have a home you've bought, isn't it? We keep checking. Look, where's my logbook? It's okay. My plot, has somebody grabbed it? You know. But for the children, many people pay fees and say, teachers deal with it, isn't it? So I challenge parents to be part and parcel of your child's learning progress. Be it at PP1, be it at grade senior school, whichever level, I challenge parents. Always be that parent who is there, not the parent who is absent. For coming, my name is Zuena Anjela, Anjela with a J. I come from Siokimau area, so I've worked with many schools around that area. I'm moving towards this side. This is the second school I've worked with in this area on Thika Road. I also worked in Langata. Previously, I was a teacher. I wear the shoes of a teacher, so I love teachers because I know how the shoe pinches for the teachers. I'm a parent as well, so I also know what parents feel with CBC, isn't it? But my driving force is my passion for CBC because I've worked under a CBC curriculum while I was working abroad. We came back in 2016, we relocated back, and when I came, there were rumors about CBC back then, isn't it? People were not quite sure, what is this? There was a policy that is going around. I don't know, I'm just asking randomly. How many of us have seen the curriculum framework document? How many have seen it? No one? For the parents, not teachers. Parents, to go chap chap because of time. How many have seen it? No one? So I'm assuming most of us have not read it either, isn't it? True or false? True. But did you know that if you go to KICD website, okay, take your time, go there, the document is there. So you can access it. You don't have to have it physically, but you can check it online, okay? The reason why I'm saying that is because there's a huge chunk for parents. Actually, it's an expectation. It's a policy, so it's expected that when it's implemented, your role as parents is also felt, both by the school and by the government, okay? The beautiful thing about the CBC curriculum is very practical. And there's evidence, like it's evidence-based learning. So if I tell you a child is struggling with this, I must have evidence. And as a parent, if you tell me my child has this problem, you must have evidence, okay? That's how we are moving along with CBC. Now, because most of us have not read this, I did a summary presentation of this document. I got the information from the document. And the practical bit of it is just things that we talk about. Normal things. I don't know, I did KCP way back in 1993. That's what I did by KCPE. And back then, actually, if you look at the subjects we did, there are more, some of the subjects are still here, like agriculture. I don't know how many did agriculture back in the day, isn't it? And home science, music. We had those subjects back in the day, isn't it? So if you look at it, it kind of reflects the old 844, true or false? And although the old 844, in quotes, not this one, current one, we had exams, we had KCPE, isn't it? But we had practical sessions, a lot of them, compared to what we have now, isn't it? They just can say yes or no. You guys are not doing practicals as much as we did back in the day, because I think also the subjects and the issue of the curriculum being exam-driven. So what I did is got a summary of this. I'm only going to talk about talk about key points up to grade 6. That's what I was told to do. When we're working the journey together, when we get to grade 6, we'll talk about the next phase, isn't it? Because of time, I cannot cover this. Normally, this takes me 2 hours to cover. So because of time, we won't do much of that, but we can talk about it. If you have questions, you can address it to the school, and I can be consulted. If you need a session, we'll come and go through that. Okay? So I want us to talk about facts and opinion about the new curriculum, and it's a question I'm throwing out there to parents. What is a fact that you know about CBC, and what is an opinion? Do we know the difference between fact and opinion? Yeah? A fact is what? You said yes. And I spotted you. A fact is what?
A fact is a real thing, the truth.
Yes.
Opinion is a feeling.
Isn't it? So quickly, just quickly, changamuke. I know it's a weekend. Some of you are sleeping. They threw the blankets and had to come. Tell me some of the facts about CBC that you know, you've had. Maybe you had someone talk about it. Maybe the school told you. What are some of the facts? Quickly, quickly. Anyone? Volunteers? I'll pick you if you don't volunteer. You are looking away. So you. Mama who? Mama who? Mama Kyla. Tell us any fact you know about CBC. Anything that comes to mind.
It also involves us as parents.
She says it involves parents, isn't it? The parents must be engaged by the. Yeah, this one is working. She says that the parents must be involved, and by that, simply put, it means that the parents are empowered with information. Then you are engaged to act with that information that you have. That's a fact. Opinion. It could be correct, it could be wrong. What are some of the opinions about CBC that you have as a person? As yes, sir. Your smile leads the way. Oh, his opinion is it's costly, isn't it? Some people will say we agree. Some people will say no, we don't agree. We can afford it, isn't it? It's an opinion, and we have to respect that opinion because it has a valid point behind. It's still a progressive policy at the implementation stage. We are still having teething problems. You see, they had a meeting with the grade 6 parents because when they said they are going to do a national exam, parents panicked. You had to call them to calm the situation down. And I showed them it is okay. This is what we are going to do. But still, there are parents who left with questions, isn't it? So we cannot say, this is completely a done deal. It's not a done deal, isn't it? Because I know I went to KICD for a meeting that I was called to go and listen to the report that came from the ground. And they did a survey. The officers from KICD went to the counties, okay? We have 47 counties, yeah? They went to each county, but they were told not to go to schools in the urban settings. They went to schools in the rural settings. And the report that came there was shocking. That is last year. Can you believe it that some schools in those counties have no clue what CBC is? They're literally teaching 844. So it's true. It's still a progressive stage. So we have to bear with each other. Don't kill the school principal, okay? You need, as a parent, once you've been empowered with the information, you need to engage, act. What can you do as a parent to make the wheel keep moving forward, okay? Not criticize the school and say, you should do a CBC to harm it. There are parents who are like that, isn't it? I'm a parent, I know. And I've experienced parents meeting where people are up in arms. We are going to move. This school is cheating us. They're too costly, you know. So as a parent, once you have the information, how are you engaging with the school? Very good. Okay, now, that is correct. Whatever you've said is correct. So what Mr. Kogi said, Mwalimu Kogi said, CBC is moving from what to what? In terms of teaching. It's moving from, anybody to tell us? Oh yes, Mwalimu, save the day.
From teacher-centered to child-centered.
That's my main point, as simple as that. Teachers are becoming facilitators, okay? So we are moving away from lecture ways. Like you see what I've been doing, I've been asking you questions. That is how learning and teaching is changing in the classroom environment. So if your child is a quiet child, encourage them at home to speak. Teachers will do their part. But as a parent at home, you know your child, isn't it? I know my oldest daughter is a very quiet child. Unfortunately, they're the last lot doing the KCP exam next year. So I was really wishing that she could have joined, she could have been in CBC, but it's life. The second one is in CBC. How she can fit either, okay, of the curriculums. But my first one, I really wanted her to be in CBC, but unfortunately not. But it's okay. So teachers are moving away from lecture. We are going to do this. Let's do this tomorrow. This is water. It's a water jerry can. It's used for this. We're moving from that. We are telling the learner, look in front of you. What can you see? Isn't it? And by the way, just so you know, it's like whatever you tell me here is exactly sometimes how children answer. Some children will say, it's water. Is that wrong? The child is not wrong. There's water in here, isn't it? A child will tell you it's a bottle of water, isn't it? Either child will say it's a blue bottle or a clear bottle, and that's it. There is neither a wrong or right answer. My work as a teacher is to tell them to tie the knots, the loose ends, that it's a bottle of clean water. Okay? From the answers that they've given me, when I've engaged them to ask them questions, I should expect different answers, but I cannot tell a child, oh, shame, that is such a wrong answer. Can you try again? No, isn't it? I take all answer and then try the losers and convince them that this is the water bottle, for example. Okay, are we together so far? Yes. Okay, so I was on the point for teaching CBC moving from being teacher-centered to learner-centered, okay? And we are together. We've spoken about the differences. Are we speaking about the differences? No, not yet. I'll go through them quickly. Okay, is there any difference between CBC and 844? For sure there is, isn't it? And some of them, for example, in 844, there was curriculum overload. True or false? Just answer true or false. True or false? True. True. In CBC, the learners are pushed to become engaged, empowered, and ethical citizens. So the curriculum is not bombarding us with exam. Okay, we're moving away from that. And then in CBC, the assessment is balanced. I'll talk about that. True or false? True. Okay, and like in 844, the assessment was just the summative assessment, which is the exam at the end of it all, isn't it? Good. Okay, CBC is a bit more flexible in terms of context learning compared to 844. 844 is what you get as the subject material is what you teach, period, isn't it? But CBC, for teachers who have gone through the framework, it says the teacher has autonomy to make local decisions, meaning you teach in context based in the needs and the resources your classroom can access. You can decide and say, because we don't have bottles to teach water, we can use the calabash to teach about water, isn't it? But 844 says, teach about bottles for carrying water, period, isn't it? Okay. This curriculum works with the framework pillars, and this I'll just go through. We have values, which are all anchored to the national goals of education in the country currently, as per the new curriculum. So we have values, which are basically standards that give guidance to an individual's response or behavior in a given circumstance. I've met police officers. I don't give bribes. If a police officer here or a woman, please don't stop me. I don't give bribes to policemen. I challenge them. I tell them, if I have a mistake, you stop me because I have a mistake. Niandikie ticket. Sindio? Niende nilipe ticket. But don't ask me for bribe, because you're asking me for bribe, you're not engaging your mind with the information you're giving me. You're contradicting yourself. If you're asking for bribe because I got a mistake, it means I didn't have a mistake. Because why are you making me to pay in your pocket for my mistake? I should pay to the government, because I've wronged the government, not you as an individual, isn't it? Good. So we are moving away from that to actually being engaged. Our values, what are our values as a country? Unfortunately, I've seen a few of you here, and I'm not common on Thika Road. But you know how Kenyans behave on the road? Wengine wanakuonyesha kidole, wengine watakuita mjinga, wengine wataswear. Have you seen the rage we have on our Kenyan roads? It's ridiculous. And how we overlap, how we overtake. Okay, now if I see you, I'll just wave at you and smile, like, you're one of them. But our values as a people, hatuna utu anymore, isn't it? Now, parents, I'll give you an example of not greeting people. You know, your child will take that with him over a long period of time. They will know the security guard is not a worthy person. Okay? The cook, the cleaner, how we treat our maids. I'm active on social media, but for personal reasons, because I'm in business, I sell through social media a lot. So I know, I've seen how people also engage in terms of maids, how we treat our caregivers. Even teachers. We have parents who will come and tell you how they are educated. Why are you talking to me like that? Who are you? We have parents who are like that, isn't it? What are our values? This curriculum is telling us, if we are going to engage our learners at home and at school, there are common values that we must teach them and implement them so that our nation is transformed. I've given you examples of how we work in places. Everywhere you go, people ask, how many have encountered city council people? Are they even normal human beings? Those people. Have you seen how they rough up people? Do they show any sign of value in them? They don't have. I want thinking, nothing. They're just people like robots. They come, they attack you. And the ladies, the policeman I saw getting into, the policemen as well, and the women. Unfortunately, if you're one of them, I'm not despising you, but it's evident. How many saw that policeman getting through the window of the car? Sasa huyo. But the children are seeing dad doing that. Do you think that child who can pay officer MCA, atakuwa MCA? Mwenye ako sawa? Si atapewa mawe naenda apige gari. Because they are learning from the best, their parents. It is you and I, not the government. People say, oh, serikali. But it is you and I as parents who are failing to teach our children the values that makes them human beings. Challenges on your court, do your part. Even if it means doing like this for traffic so that your little boy or girl sees you are containing yourself, do it. But don't go swearing and showing drama, okay? So values is very key as part of the pillars that support this. There is also theoretical approaches. I won't go through that because those are now things that you need to kusoma. Theories that support this curriculum. We have like Dewey's, teachers know Dewey's, multiple intelligences, for example, Gardner's. So there are theories that I won't go into detail because it's quite a lot of information, but I'm just mentioning there are theories that support that. There is, what else? There's curriculum guiding principles, which are very key. Opportunity, the learner being provided with a variety of opportunity to enable them identify their needs, their talents, and potential. And this cuts across both at home and at school. So for example, if I tell you, Mama Ethan really looks like he would enjoy cooking. What at home would you do to make Ethan become a good cook in the future, for example? You'd give them opportunities at home to fry an egg, make tea, isn't it? You begin, of course at grade 1, they might not do this, like exotic dishes and stuff, but you start small. By the time they get to grade 5, you're continuing nurturing. As they grow up, they be, I'm going to become a chef, isn't it? And they begin taking pride in that. Okay, if your child, for example, is going to be a musician, what would you do as a parent? The school, I know maybe you have music lessons, they might bring in, but if you have a neighbor who is a musician and you can pay him to teach a child, you do it at home as well. We remember we are nurturing the talents, isn't it? And the potential of the child. We have excellence. If you are on Facebook, check out for Tansha Bakery. Tansha Bakery is an Arabic word, it's my bakery. I want you to see the kind of work that I do, okay? It shows excellence. We are missing that, okay? As a people, as a country, we don't have that touch of excellence. We like shortcuts. True or false? True. Isn't it? If somebody gives you a job, there's a gentleman a young man, I believe in promoting business, especially for young people, isn't it? So a young man said, I can do woodwork. I gave him money. He said, I'll do it. The kabatis he brought for me home, I had to expose him on social media so he cannot con anybody else. He did not have a touch of excellence. He took my money. I was upset. The kabati up to now, I'm still cussing. I'm born again, but I just can't let go. Because I'm using that kabati every day. I'm seeing him messing me up and my money is gone. Teach our children from a young age to execute excellence. Okay? Kama anatandika kitanda yake, enda uangalie umetandika vizuri, release him or her. If not, go back and spread it properly. Those who are in boarding schools know how the matrons did it, isn't it? Up to today, if I don't spread my bed in a certain way, I'll go back and spread it. Isn't it? A touch of excellence. If it's food they are cooking, jikoni ni kama tornado ilipita. Tell them, no, my son, my daughter, go back and clean the kitchen. The food is beautiful, but finish it up in excellence. Okay? If it is reading, they are reading. They read in excellence. Don't push them to get 100, but nurture them so that they can have an eye for excellence. Have you seen our Kenyan roads? The Chinese have taken after us. They are giving us what we do. So we can't blame the Chinese. If you go to Dubai, the products you get from Chinese, the Chinese people, is excellent stuff. Things that come to Kenya, unanunua tu leo, kesho imeharibika. Because we are not a people who appreciate excellence, isn't it? So we are telling our learners, after we get opportunity, we teach them to utilize that opportunity in excellence. Okay? Okay, diversity and inclusion. Hapa inakuanga na maneno mingi. Diversity and inclusion. We tend to think that somebody told me, I asked them, it's a school actually, I asked them, so how do you include diversity and inclusion in your classroom experience? Yes. She told me bravely, a teacher, unfortunately, she told me bravely, I tell the child, because you are a Kikuyu, you must work with a Luo. According to the teacher, that is inclusion and diversity. Unaambia mtoto huyu sasa, unajua huyu ni Mkamba. Unakaanga hivi. Sasa wewe utafanya naye kazi, wewe ni Mluya na mnakuanga hivi. And then she told me she also put a Muslim and a Christian. And I could see, she was explaining, because I saw the girl had a hijab, the other one didn't have. So I knew we were Muslim, we were Christian. Is that how we talk? But that's the talk we have at home, isn't it? Wakikuyu wanakuanga hivi. Wajaluo wanakuanga hivi. Waluya wako hivi. That's the conversation at home, isn't it? When you are teaching your child, okay? Classroom experience, I'll tell you how to do it. But for the parents, don't have, especially now during election, we are heading towards election, isn't it? Wengine ni Azimio, wanachapa coffee ta. You saw that lady who was slapped, which was saying Azimio in Kisi, Azimio. Okay? I'm trying to say that keep healthy conversations at home. don't make it obvious. Even if you can't see an eye for an eye with a camera person, don't make it obvious for your child. Because you will impair. The CBC, when I'm talking to teachers, I tell them, don't let your failure and limitations and fears let you determine somebody's child failures and determinations and fear. When I taught math in Dubai, I taught it with excellence. Nobody knew I got math in E. Because I realized mine was a system problem. I cannot bring a system problem in the United Arab Emirates to another child who is an Arab who doesn't even know where Kenya is. Are you getting me? So don't limit your child because of your issues to excel in other areas. Because once umemwambia Mkikuyu ni mbaya, akipata mwalimu Mkikuyu atamrespect. They will not. So don't do that. Diversity and inclusion is done in a subtle way because our aim is to move forward smoothly, whether somebody is Kamba, Luo, Kisi, Luya, isn't it? Without them even knowing. I've directed with all of you. I cannot tell a tribe here. All I'm saying is beautiful parents who have sacrificed their time to come. If I start saying, unajua Kikuyu haigangi time, will I talk to you? I will not. So don't do that, okay? These things are true. Are they true or not? Yeah. We have this, and we know we have this profession. A child will come to school and tell you, unajua Wakamba ni watu wabaya sana, ni wachawi, hata Wakisii. Ametoa wapi hiyo? Si ametoa nyumbani. Sasa unakuja unasema, unajua samaki inakuanga Wajaluo, wasipambane nayo. Maybe the poor child enjoys fish. And you know, the word of a mother, father, and a teacher is law. My daughter comes home and tells me, teacher said, what am I to say? I'll tell the teacher, mwalimu, legeza kidogo, unataka kufanya. Because the teacher's word is law, isn't it? If a child comes at you, oh, my mother said, mwalimu so and so is nasty, what will you say? Nothing, isn't it? It means you talk to the parent to rectify the situation. So that's CBC. Doing that, we need to encourage learners to be more tolerant and acceptable towards other people in their learning process. Because it's becoming a problem. How many people, this school, they did KCP, isn't it? What's wrong? I don't know. This is under Nairobi, isn't it? So they got those letters for Chabahari High School, Turukana National High School. They got those letters. Parents wakasema aje, ai, wezekani hiyo ni ngumu, haje sasa. And parents went and paid money Kenya High, Lenana School, Nairobi School. All the kids that were called to Turkana wamebaki hapa Nairobi. Si ndio? Because Turkana iko na njaa na watu wameparara. Honest, candid conversations. We should set the ball rolling with being honest as parents ourselves. You can tell your child, for example, I won't take you to Turkana because it's far and mommy cannot be committing to come and do visiting days, isn't it? That's a smart way. We know for sure, maybe, I've not been to Turkana myself, so I cannot say, but I'm assuming maybe schools there, the infrastructure might not look like this, isn't it? So you might feel as a parent, that might be a tricky transition for my child, isn't it? But you can say, it's too far, number one. Or you can say, they called you, but because, as Daddy and Mama, we decided, we want to do ABCD, that is near us, we are transferring you here. It makes a difference. How you communicate, in other words, makes a difference, isn't it? So communication is very key, changing, and competence is one. When you mention competence, communication was one of them. Changing how you communicate. I always tell people, you could be right, but how you communicate tells us that message, whether we receive it or not receive it. You can tell me when you are fat, I'll be offended, isn't it? But if you tell me when you are horizontally challenged, maybe I'll be a bit happy. I'll say, okay, isn't it? So how you say it, very important. Okay, so diversity and inclusion, those are under the guiding principles. So opportunity, excellence, and teach them to work with other people, collaboration, isn't it? And then differentiated learning, that is in teachers' docket, how the teachers differentiate how learners learn. We all learn differently. How you learn math is not the same way I learn math. Maybe if I was taught math in a more artistic way, I would have gotten math, isn't it? But because it was taught in a mainstream way, I couldn't get it, isn't it? So that's in the docket for teachers, learning happening differently. Then there's the parental empowerment and engagement. I cannot say this enough. I said to the Madam Director here, normally before I work with teachers, I work with parents first. Okay? So that what the teacher knows goes home, it is done. Because now the parents have been empowered with the information, isn't it? I always say, you do only what you know, not what you don't know. So if now you know, when it's doing part, you can do, isn't it? But if you don't know, you want to do it. So That is part of that as well. I'll talk about parental engagement and empowerment later, kidogo. Then there's community service. I heard when Mr. Kogi said that parents were complaining. Ladders were told to go and clean markets and do stuff. Some parents didn't take it very well. I saw it on the news and social media. That's how our kids are cleaning the streets and they're dirty. People have messed the streets, nini. When the parents there were up in arms. How dare they tell us to clean Guru Jenga? Really. Back in the day, those who went to primary schools that were day schools, nani walikuwa wanafyeka shule? Wanafunzi. Nani walikuwa wanabebea walimu maji kwa nyumba zao? Okay? Cleaning the classroom, who did those? In Japan's system of education is almost part of this as well. Children clean their toilets. Another person told me in high school, because for once I made to wash the toilets, they said, that's inhuman. But who is using the toilet? Si ni hawa. Sasa mwingine aoshe na hawa wanatumia. So we should not be up in arms. Okay? Of course, we might not tell our learners to go and clean Mkuru kwa Jenga, for example, but even if they did, so be it. Mkuru kwa Jenga is part of us, part and parcel of us. Jesus said, the poor will be with us always, isn't it? Sasa si ukiishi hapa zangu kidogo umefika kabisa. Huwezi osha huko Mkuru kwa Jenga. Mtoto akiosha huko ni shida kwa hata huwezi lala, utaweka kwa chama vile mtoto aliosha Mkuru kwa Jenga. Community. Let me tell you, children who have gone through community service, when you make them leaders, there is a difference, I promise you. They will go to KNH and feel sorry for those who are sick, versus those who have no clue how a hospital looks like or how children hospitals look like. If you take your child over the weekend to go to KNH cancer section for the children, when they become a leader or they become a minister of health, do you think they'll not relate to these children? But if you never expose them to these things, do you think it will click on them? Some of my MCA. Leaders we put in position who are disconnected with our needs. Do you think those people went through community service? Those people who are employed currently in the government who went through national youth service, there's a difference. There's a big difference. In fact, if the government says to quit NYS, the old NYS, I would say tick. I'll send my daughters. Okay? So how many minutes do I have? 10 minutes. Huh? Ule mama nani mesema yes. Na mimi nacheza kama mimi. 10 minutes. Okay, the competencies we have, yeah? You mentioned them, but I cannot assume that all parents know what they mean. Okay? So I'm going to take you very fast through that with my 10 minutes. The first 4 C's: critical thinking and problem solving. Okay? Exposing your learner. I'm talking to parents. Teachers don't listen much. The parents at home, how can you create opportunities that make your child critically think and solve problems? If you are going to go somewhere, instead of panicking, begin to challenge your child to take small tasks that involves critical thinking and problem solving. Some children up to now mmekaa hapa kwa meetings, ndio vile nyumba mliwacha asubuhi utarudi upate hivyo. Mom, saizi mshaanza kupata because it's almost lunchtime, you are getting WhatsApp messages because wamenunua simu, wamefika hapo wako na simu. Mom, it's lunchtime, what do we make? Fridge imejaa, karibu inakata kufunga. But mom, there's no food. Can you order KFC? Huh? So that's the kids we're bringing up. Why are they not in a position to think? We have meat, we have bread, we can do a sandwich. Why can't they think differently? Because we're not giving them an opportunity. Instructions is unamwachia. Okay, facilitate as a parent. Tell them the fridge imejaa. Choose what to eat. Reply that WhatsApp right now. Tell them fridge imejaa. Chagua na upi. Na kuja in the next 2 hours I should find lunch ready. Hata kupika mchele mbichi utaenda huku. That is the beginning of learning and challenging them, isn't it? Let us go back to our old ways. If I tell parents, CBC basically is telling us go back to the basics. Just like we were done for. We're supposed to do that to our children. But we think, no, they cannot. Ataungua, gas will explode. Mwambie pika chakula na washe mpike wapi? Hata kama ni apartment, all apartments have the balcony at the back, si ndio? Apike huko nje na jiko. Wacho pambane huko na balcony. Okay. Now, I'm challenging us as parents, okay? So critical thinking, there's communication. How we communicate, and I told you, it's not what you're saying, it's how you say. As simple as that, in a nutshell. Okay, collaboration and creativity. Collaboration means simply how the learners work with each other. Okay. Some parents, even at workplace, they're not team players. They don't know how to work with a team. But it's telling us to go back, learn how to work with each other collaboratively. Okay. Despite our differences, we should work together. And then, of course, there's creativity and imagination. When you're told to tell, I've seen homeworks that come home, the learner is supposed to find materials to make a broom, isn't it? And parents says, sasa broom gani hiyo? Sasa wewe umeshashindwa kufikiria. Mtu unapata fikiria. Wewe kama mtu mkubwa, umeambiwa uchague materials. And it's beautiful. You're told, choose materials, isn't it? That's what you send home. And make a broom. You are telling the child, what kind of picture is that? What was she thinking? What is this? I don't even know how to do the broom. Will the child bring that homework to school? Wewe umeshindwa kama mzazi. Sasa sembuse mtoto wa grade 1. Si hataweza hata completely. Okay? So create opportunities. Be enthusiastic about learning experience for your learner at home. If there's a homework that comes home, projects that needs your input, be intentional. The word is being intentional as a parent with CBC. Be intentional. Okay? There's self-efficacy, which is meant to encourage a learner to believe in his or her capabilities to successfully do a task in a way that can change their life. As simple as that. You train your child to believe in their ability to do. And that's what I'm saying. Move away from overprotecting them to letting them do stuff. Because only then they will learn what is required to make a difference in their lives in terms of the knowledge that they get. Okay? The citizenship, I've spoken about that. I mentioned it earlier. Being aware of your environment in terms of people who live around you, talking to them. Are you one of the, and I've said examples of how you behave on the road, okay? Are you encouraging your child to be one? And in what ways are you doing it? And I gave hints about that. Okay, the next one there is digital literacy. Many people think that once the child has a phone or an iPad and they can see TV, that's it. No. It's how the child engages with that gadget that you give them. In America right now, my sister who is in America, the son, she has 2 twins. One enjoys technical things. Yesterday she told me, so-and-so has gone to Texas for a world competition for coding at grade 11. Okay? So the same child could be in Kenya here could be given a phone, but the parent does not care. When on a TikTok. You see kids 11 years posting things on TikTok. Sasa unataenda wapi na TikTok? Na wewe umenunua hiyo simu. Guide the child to get that information and empower themselves in ways that make a difference. And that is about digital. It's not just about having laptops and gadgets in the house, everyone has one, no. It's about how that can be used to make learning experience better for the learner. Isn't it? Are we together? Learning to learn is the ability to pursue and persist in learning, to organize one's own learning by the effective management of time and information, both individually and in groups, despite obstacles and limitations. Okay? I talk about that more to the teachers. It mainly applies to them. Okay. Now, we go to early years education. A gentleman said at the back the way the structure of CBC is, isn't it? It's 2, 6, 3, 3, isn't it? So the 2 part, we are not going to do that because you've moved, now you are in grade 1, isn't it? So grade 1, let me see that we go to that quickly. Grade 1. Grade 1 falls under lower primary, isn't it? The subjects, I keep telling you, doctor, maybe you should do your PhD and become a doctor. Okay? In Jesus' name, I commission you to go and do PhD. Amen. Dr. Kogi. Okay, Dr. Kogi said, you are going to do more subjects, okay, in grade 1. And apart from literacy, the ones you did previously, now, I don't know whether you have Kenya Sign Language here. Do you have it? Kenya Sign Language. Okay. But not to worry. A school told me that what they've done is challenge parents, if at home, that can be one of the ways the children are taught to use, part of the gadgets they have, learn sign language at home. It's fine, you can do it. So you encourage your learner to learn how the deaf can be spoken to at home, if the school is not offering it. Then we have, of course, English language. So we have literacy, Kiswahili language activities, English language activities, indigenous language activities. Do you know you can go out of your way to actually include cultural activities from different, we have different languages and they are beautiful. and they have cultures around them. You can actually have cultural days. Do you have cultural days, things like that?
Yes.
Okay, then. That gives hint, okay? Then we have mathematical activities, environmental activities, hygiene and nutrition, religious education activities. How many are those? Quite a number. Don't count, don't mind telling me the number. Then there's movement and creative activities. Music falls under movement, isn't it? And creative activities. Okay. Now, middle school is the next part. What I've spoken about are the subjects they do from grade 1 to grade 3. No, grade 1 to 3. That is now lower primary. Then we have upper primary, isn't it? So upper primary now is from class 1 to what? 4 to 6. Now, how I've structured this summary is I have learning outcomes for every primary level. But I won't read through that, okay? I'm just touching on the key notes. Like, for example, upper primary, grade 4 to 6, the subjects are now English, Kiswahili again. Home science starts from grade 4, isn't it? Then there's agriculture. Home science, I loved home science. Only that because of biology, chemistry, physics, I did not choose home science to high school. In my school, it was compulsory to do the sciences. But now we have home science, agriculture, science and technology, mathematics, religious education studies. They have CRE, IRE, HRE, yeah? And of course, creative arts. We have those. Now, what I wanted to mention is, when it comes to home science, I don't know how it is taught here in this school. When I work with you, I will know, then we can advise parents accordingly. The activities, of course, they can do at home. Home science doesn't really mean cooking. There is more to home science. And you can take advantage as a parent to teach your child life skills through home science. Okay? So we'll talk about that with the teacher and find out where they are at that. Another key thing that is going to be serious here that I need to tackle, only 2 things left. The PCIs and assessment. Okay? Then I'll be done. PCIs simply means pertinent, contemporary what? That affect learning. Okay? Where I worked in the UAE, the Arab culture is very interesting. You find that in a home, there are 4 mamas. Okay? And it's acceptable. It's part of life. It happens, isn't it? Now there's a new one that is coming up. I don't want to mention, because even me, I'm still shocked. When I heard about it, that is in Kenya. Okay? So there are issues that affect the learners indirectly, that both parents and the school needs to be aware of. Sometimes parents might not take note of a child if they're being abused, but you as a teacher can take note. There's a particular girl, and in summer it gets very hot, very hot. You'd feel like I should just walk naked, but you can't. Okay, so this child, every time she had her sweater on, like si vile umevaa hii jacket yako ya lebo, alikuwa full time amevaa hii warm, whether it's hot, whether it's cold. Sasa mtu akiwa lebo mnacheka. So this particular child always had their sweaters on, whether it's hot, and in summer it gets very hot, very, very hot. You can't even without the AC. Teachers, when she came to school every time, we always wondered, why? But you see, again, you cannot question, because culturally the women cover themselves. Even as teachers, you could not wear something like this. You had to wear something, the skirt long, okay? So culturally it's acceptable to be like that. But when the day we found out that this was not normal is when one of the teachers sent her to the PE. It was during PE, she didn't want to change. So the teacher said, no, I'll go with you. It's okay, you'll change, okay? At least remove the sweater, When the child removed that sweater, this child had sores on her skin. Alikuwa na chapo na electrical wire with the stepmother. Now I'm wondering, for how long was this happening? It really, really, really bothered me. I'm passionate about children. I always believe every child, no matter their background, they deserve a chance to life. Because once they leave your house, they're their own individual, isn't it? You have no authority. Right now, children at university, whatever they're doing, do you know? They are children, but do you know? They become so give them a chance. This child was being literally cut with the electricals. But of course the parents did it. So it's upon us to identify the problem, isn't it? So when we saw this, we're like, goodness, where we asked her, why are you like this? She said, madam, my mother do this to me. The English is not very good. She said, my mother do this to me every day. With what? She said, she pointed the electricity cable. And I said, yeah, it makes sense, because she had cuts. I'm even getting goosebumps. So I'm saying, you need to know who you are teaching. As a parent, whatever is happening at home, these issues that are happening at home, they affect how the learning happens at school. Okay, the teachers, okay, sometimes there could be abuse on the side of teachers, isn't it, on the school. But mostly, abuse happens outside the school environment. A child, for example, whose parents are alcoholic, isn't it? We have parents who are alcoholic. Maybe the mother is alcoholic or the dad is alcoholic, for example. The way you behave at home affects that child in school. Okay? Parents who, for example, there's another child, my daughter told me, the other child who said, her father, she has 3 mummies and they live differently. Then I told my child, because I wanted to understand. And you know what affects your child affects my child as well. Because this is their friend, isn't it? So she said, that the girl said they have 3 mummies and she rotates around the homes. Can you imagine the life of that child? Wear the shoe of knowledge. Always check out for those small signs. If you sit at home, report to the teachers at school so that they know. Right now in the family we're dealing with death. Okay? Or we're dealing with maybe alcoholism. So that they know how to handle this child. The child innocently might tell the other learners, you know me, my dad drinks and comes home at night and beats my mom. See on the story? As a teacher, how do you put that around your finger and help that child? So those are the issues that we're talking about, okay? Environmental awareness. There are so many, there are 6 of them. I'll discuss in detail. Then that information can get to the parents because we do activities you send home, for example. But even at school, you have that conversation in classroom. At home, the same. Are we together? Good. Okay, so that's that. Assessment is the last part. Imebaki dakika 5 natoka. Dakika 5. So there are many issues there. There's life skills, education, learner support, I've seen you have a clinic here. Is that a clinic?
It's a wellness.
You should learn the school to be parents. Okay? Msisabu wacha tuwasikie kwanza. Mko na counselor? The school to be. Okay? Asa usihamishe mtoto nani? Hapa ndio tunakaa. Okay? So all those issues, and I said the PCIs, we should not be ignorant about them, and there are so many. So I said there is community service again, all that. Okay, parental engagement and empowerment. How do you plug in as a parent? Before I talk about assessment, ma'am, and I'm finishing. Okay, parents, msikize hapa. Ndasoma. Okay? Skizeni. Now, as a parent, how do you plug in? You should know. I tell parents, let us move away from being docile. Me, when I grew up, in our house, when we had visitors, what were we told? A child is to be seen and not? Sasa ulikuwa unakuja unaambia mama niko na shida unaambiwa rudi. What did I say? And my mother's look would send you going back. But I tell parents, let us change. The children of today are exposed to so much. Let us walk with them the journey of life. Okay? So if a child comes to you and says, this is the problem I have, listen to them, give them a chance. This is why I'm saying that is so that parents know their role and their rights. You have rights as parents. I went to KICD and I was part of the team that helped formulate a document for parental engagement, empowerment and engagement. Unfortunately, that document has not been gazetted. We did that almost 3 years ago. It has not been gazetted. But it's a beautiful document that gives the parents a voice to talk. Right now, with the confusion we have in CBC, do you know if parents, you only said mwe? Mwe. Si ati hallelujah. Umesema tu mwe. There will be a change in how this thing is done. But most parents, ni serikali imesema, we are going with the flow. What I'm trying to say today here is, as a parent, know your role and do it very well. Okay? If it means coming to school to help with some work, bring yourself to school. Create time. You have time. Create time. You will be surprised if you create 30 minutes. Like, for example, there's a day we called for parents, back where I was working, for parents' career day. You come and tell us what you do, for example, isn't it? Parents came because they were empowered with the information what to do. They came, spoke about careers. Then a child will say, I want to be a teacher, but now I want to be a doctor. Okay, so know your role very well and do it very, very well. If projects are sent at home, if you're called for to support the school in any way, please do it. It's for the common good of who? The child. Okay, so your duties are, they need to provide proper childcare to the child, and then work with schools to early identify any special education needs and intervention. Now, I don't know how this happens, okay? And special needs is a very sensitive area. Again, how you communicate. If you know at home, and normally, early intervention, now is a bit late, but it can be done, okay? We have, if you have a parent who has a child with special needs, is a very, very sensitive topic. Special needs is with us, you know, and it's common. The Arabs, they will hide children with special needs at home, which is very wrong. By the time the child is identified, it's too late. So early intervention is your role as a parent to identify, because that child is yours. He is ours when it comes to school. But you identify the problem, then we'll help you work with that, isn't it? Your role, don't forget, okay? So if you're called to don't shy away, that's your role, okay? Creating a positive culture that supports national values, and I spoke about this, what you say at home to your children, what you do, how you act, isn't it? Okay, they need to equip children with basic self-help skills, roles as a parent, you need to know how to do that. Kuna vitu, mna saa zingine, especially our PP1 and PP2, they come with shocking things at school. You expect as a teacher, these child should know ABCD, they have no clue. And then there are parents who, even in terms of eating, what they eat, how they dress, you start from home. Charity begins where? Mizigo tutakusaidia kubeba, lakini ni tukichoka tutakuachia. So you start from home. I have parents who tell teachers kwa diary, please make sure my child eats vegetable. But at home, do they eat vegetables? Unaandika kwa diary, make sure anakunywa uji, unapatiana saa ile. Anakunywa uji huko. Chunga. Your role, you must not fail in your role. Teach them basic skill. Like for example, a child who has a torn trouser or a shirt. What do? You donate them to children's home. Instead of telling your child or your son, let me teach you how to fix the bottom. Those are basic skills, isn't it? How to make an omelette for breakfast. How to make tea for yourself. Just basic things, isn't it? Okay, so don't fail at that at home, because when they come to school, we are expecting some of those things already done. Then reading. The government is saying, as a parent, start reading with your child on the road to developing literacy skills. Remember what Dr. Kogi said. You start with here the big thing is literacy and numeracy. So at school, especially if you're doing something at school, do it also at home. Okay? What else? I'll stop there. I won't finish that. The big thing is assessment. How is assessment changing? And then I finished and Nakachini. 2 more minutes, ma'am. 2 more minutes. Nakachini. Now, how is assessment changing in CBC? Assessment in CBC is going to be in 2 areas, okay? The first one is called summative assessment. Are we together? Summative assessment. The other one is formative assessment. Summative ni hiyo akina care. Where care? How? At grade 6, class 3, grade 3 and class 6. That's the summative assessment. The one I'll talk about that will involve parental engagement is formative. So formative assessment goes along the way. If a child is struggling with a subject, like from week 1, you can tell, isn't it, as you assess them along the way. Versus waiting for them to do an exam at the end of the term and then they fail, then you say, we are in a struggle in math. What can you do about it? Nothing. And remember for math, every formula they miss, they continue missing it until the end. Because math builds up, mathematicians, true or false? True. Isn't it? So we need to have that so that we have that, the assessment going on. So this particular school, formative assessment, there are many strategies, many of them. But this particular school, Mountain View, I'm talking to parents so that you know if this work is sent home or whatever is sent home for formative, you work with the school. Because now you are aware. Okay, for this particular school, these are the ones they chose to work with. I won't talk about the aims, I won't talk about that, I'll talk about them that they've chosen. The first one there is projects. We all know what projects are. Yeah? We know. Like for example, do a project about maybe construct. A project can be anything, not only like construct. It can be build, construct, make, explain how this works, for example. So if that is sent at home, please work with the school. All these assessments we have chosen here, they're going to be gradable. We are going to grade them. So if a project is sent home and you don't do it to the child, what does that mean? Can you come and say to Rebecca, I don't know what happened. Can you? Be intentional. That project is just that project coming home. Be intentional. Don't let the maid do it. I saw in a school where I was giving that and said, look at what the parents are doing. I'm not accusing parents, I'm just having a real talk with us parents. There was a nanny who was continually signing the diary of the learner. Okay? So I asked, what is the story about this child? She said, the dad works in Mombasa. The mom goes to work. I know, and we see Okimau traffic is crazy. I know it is crazy. But now, hasa mtoto ni wako ama ni wa traffic. The truth of the matter is the child is yours, isn't it? If you know you're not going to sign the diary and follow instructions, because you will miss the project and say, I didn't know about it, but it was in there. Isn't it? So be intentional. When projects are sent home, just know that they're going to be graded because it's part of the formative assessment. I said, you cannot say that my child is weak in this if you've only checked one way of assessing them. You must give me varied results, isn't it? For me to know that when you're telling me they're weak in this, there's evidence I can check through. So part of the evidence we have there, number one, is project. So they're going to be graded. So please work with the child when their project is sent home, work with it. And that project will involve things like collaboration, how you work with the child, creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving. We are going to have short quizzes, okay? Short quizzes are the ones we're talking about, open-ended questions. You explain, you evaluate, list, okay? Not ABC, we're moving from that. Then we have observation and checklist, which again, all these are going to be graded. So if you hear about a child saying, Mama, tomorrow we're having a short quiz about what we learned, please help them at home, because when they come to do that short quiz, it's going to be graded. Because what I didn't mention is, summative assessment is going to be 40% of the learning, isn't it? The formative assessment is going to be 60%, which means it takes a huge chunk of how the child is assessed. Okay, so make sure you work with them. Okay, observation with a checklist that will be done at school most likely, and they have a checklist they are given a chance to do, and the teachers are graded the checklist, so they are checking maybe from, he did this activity 2 marks, maybe up to 10 marks, so they use the checklist to do that. Then we have a yes or no, or true or false chart, what I was asking you, so you can set up a list of questions, they can be sent home. Help them to identify what is true, what is false. Okay? When they come back to school, we'll mark and see, okay, this one, is it correct, is it wrong? That's what I mean by when I say they're going to be graded. It can be done at school, it can be done at home. It depends on when the teachers decide to send it, whether it's going to be sent at home or done at school. We have homework, which is a common thing. All parents always want homework, 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 isn't it? The school can decide we're going to have only 2 days homework. The rest are other things we are doing. So don't call, okay, that you want homework. Sasa accept homework, Billy, imetosha. Sindio? So don't call and say, oh, we need homework to keep them busy over the weekend. No. Okay? Then what else we have there? We have 2 more things that I have sample. I have sample here. This could be new to new parents. All parents are aware of this, the scrapbook. Yeah? I know we have new parents. How many are new parents here? New, brand new. Can we give them a round of applause? Appreciate them? I think there are many schools around here, but they chose Mountain View, isn't it? So those are the ones I'm talking about. Those ones who know already about the scrapbook is fine. But those who don't know, we are going to have portfolios in addition to scrapbooks. So the portfolios already, portfolio is very common. Many people know about portfolio, isn't it? But this is new to this school, it's unique to this school. So if you're told to get a scrapbook, this is what they mean. And this is a new one that has not been used. It looks like that, yeah? A new one. One that has been used look like this. And again, the teacher said they're going to grade this. You see, it has a 4. It was graded, isn't it? So this is the scrapbook. It has the work of the learner. Whatever they're doing, the topics they're given tasks to do, and they do it beautifully there, and it's graded. Okay? There's 4, 3. So if you're told to do at home, don't say, Mr. Gizomaneno. Okay? And with that, I end the talk. Unfortunately, I didn't cover everything, but at least now you are operating from a point of knowledge. True or false? True. Now, any questions? Dr. Kobe, nikuachie microphone. Pambana na hali yako. But now, like I'm finished with what I wanted to do. Yes. In case there are questions, he will take us through the next session. Are we together until then? Yes. If you see me on the street driving or walking, ask me a question about CBC, I'll answer you. Okay? I'm cool like that.